Good morning, gang. Happy Friday. So here we go again. It's a Friday. Who knows what today's going to bring? But we're going to start out with a prepping video and specifically on something to prepare. Probably something that has never been talked about on a prepping channel before, but one that needs to be talked about. Y'all have spent a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of effort on getting ready for whatever's coming, okay? I mean, I know, everybody knows prepping is not a cheap hobby, as some people like to call it, okay? Personally, I find it a lifestyle, not a hobby, but any way you want to do it. You've collected things like food, weaponry, solar generators, plants, property, etc., 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 all of which cost a lot of money. And I hate to tell you this, there is going to come a day where you aren't going to be able to use or enjoy any of it. Okay. Pretty simple reason why. We come into this world with nothing and we leave this world with nothing. The day you die, all that stuff you prepped, you can't take it with you. Okay. So that means you've got to do something with it. And this is a challenge, if you will. Because a lot of us have a situation where our family doesn't prep, our kids don't prep, whatever would be, okay? Don't care. How many of y'all have gone to a garage sale, a yard sale, an estate sale, and found great stuff there? I mean, from as simple to boxes of mason jars, to knives, to, I mean, at this point, maybe generators or something like that. We all have. Do you want your stuff, the stuff that you spent your hard-earned dollars on, the stuff you scrimped and saved for, to be sold off in a garage sale? Okay, I don't, personally. This is why it's important to do, I'll use the term death planning, okay? Prepping. What do you want done with all the stuff that you have come up with? Everybody's familiar with what a will is. Do you realize there are 9 different kinds of wills? Okay. Now, some of them are not very commonplace, and some of them don't apply to a lot of us, okay? Y'all have probably heard about trusts, okay? And I'm betting, just from my assumption here on the overall demographics of the people that watch this channel, probably not a lot of us need to have trusts established, okay? We're not that wealthy. There might be a few, but the majority not, okay? So the most common things that we're going to put together are a living will, and then either a simple will or a joint will. And both are important, and I'll explain why. The living will is just what you want done when you're in your final days. If something happens, if you become Joe Biden and have dementia and you can't think clearly, how do you want your last medical taken care of? Do you have a do not resuscitate order or whatever it was be? Okay. I'm not going to get into that one. That's not that important. But that's what a living will is. But how you're going to live out your final days. So you can put in writing while you're cognizant how you want your last days, your treatments or whatever you potentially need to be handled. Okay. The other one, the living will and the joint will, or I'm sorry, the simple will and the joint will are pretty simple, okay? A simple will for an individual, I want to leave everything to Mrs. P, okay? But if you're single, okay, that, I want to leave everything to my kids, or I want to leave everything to, I don't know, pick something, the Red Cross, or anywhere you want to, your church, however it would be. A joint will, which is what Mrs. P and I have, okay, stipulates that if I die, everything goes to her. If she dies, everything goes to me. If both of us die, everything goes to my daughter. Mrs. P has no kids, and I have just the one daughter. So that's kind of how that works. The key to a joint will is that you got to make sure that it can't be changed after you die. This is important here. I know this is probably a very boring video, but it's very important. With the joint will, if it's written, I die, Mrs. P can't go, okay, now he's gone, now I'm going to change everything and I'm going to give everything to the SPCA or so. I don't know, who knows, okay, that's cannot be changed. All right, you got to make sure that's in the will. But the reason it's important is, like I said at the top, what's going to be done with all your preps, okay? Well, it's important to do this because, first off, all your assets and your preps will be considered assets. Even the food you have will be inventoried and counted off as assets, right? All your canned goods or whatever. You don't want to leave your family stuck with a huge tax bill. So if you make sure this is correctly done, they won't have to, okay? That's important, because if you don't have a will, guess who decides how your property is distributed? The state, the government. Do you really want the government to decide what happens to all your assets? Your house, your car, your weaponry, whatever it would be. I sure as hell don't, especially this, even though I'm in Tennessee, I still don't want the state deciding, well, you know what? We've just decided that your heirs can't have any weaponry. Okay, no, sorry, not going to happen that way. So you want to have it detailed out if it's not all going to one or a couple of people. All the food you have stored, put specifically in a will. You want that donated to, for me, the Union County Food Bank. Okay, that would be it. If both me and Mrs. P die, that's where it goes. My daughter's not just going to go in and throw it out. Why? She lives in Indiana. I'm in Tennessee. I doubt she's going to get a U-Haul truck and fill it with a bunch of canned goods. Okay, so it's got to go somewhere. That's where I want it to go. What about weaponry? Let's say your kids are completely against guns, and they would, turn them into a gun buyback for $50 or whatever it is. Give those to the buddy that you have at the gun club, or your next door neighbor, somebody in your mag, whatever. Anything, your property. Okay, what's going to happen to your property? For a lot of us, our property is pretty much going to be our legacy, and you don't want it just, oh, gee, dad died, sell off the property, and, I'll go buy myself a condo in New York. It's not what I'm spending my time building this place for, okay? I'm spending my time building this so somebody after me can come in and it will be done, and they will have a place that they can literally survive without ever leaving the boundaries of the property. That's what I'm trying to build, okay? I don't want that just fire sailed off to somebody. These are things to think about. This is a prep. It's not a difficult one. Some of it you can do online. You can write a will online, and literally all you need to do is take it to the bank and get it notarized, and you're done, okay? Cost you the notary fee of, $6 or whatever it would be. That's it. We're not talking expensive. But, if you do something like that, make sure the specific documentation that you get is for your state, okay? Last will and testament laws differ from state to state, just saying, and certainly from country to country. It's something that you need to do. We're not all going to survive whatever happens. And as much as a lot of people don't want to believe it, you are going to die, guys. Even Klaus Schwab is going to die. He thinks he's immortal, but he's not, okay? This is the point. Make your wishes known. You can tell your kids, your spouse, your whoever, till you're blue in the face, prep, and they're going to ignore you. If they don't want to participate, when it comes time for the reading of your will, for the distribution of your assets after your death, if they don't want to participate, give your stuff to somebody that does. Even if that means, sorry, honey, you didn't want any of this stuff when I was alive. I'm not going to leave it to you when you're dead or when I'm dead. Okay? It's just how it works. Make sure you take care of that. There's plenty of other preppers that could certainly benefit from the assets that we have gathered over our lives. You know, maybe you can make somebody else happy and a little better prepared if something happens to you. I mean, after all, we call ourselves a big family all the time. Just saying. We'll see you sometime today, that's for sure. Pinball out.